Hello, happy Monday. It's Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show that takes about 30 minutes or so. Thank you for coming here on Facebook Live on Monday. Well past our 2 o'clock hour, but hey, we're here, right? Rob Morales, RCO Network, coming at you live at Studio 110 in Phoenix, Arizona. With me is my lovely and brightfully beautiful co-host, Miss Ashley Miller.
Hello.
There she is.
How are you?
She's wearing the Ashley Miller lipstick line, if you hadn't noticed. Short supplies. If you want to put in your order today, it's a limited supply.
Yeah, we are importing from Canada, and it's been a little bit of a pickle because we have to ship to New York, and then from New York we have to ship to
Yeah, there's
Arizona.
a whole logics line there.
But that's not a lot of things that people know about me that I also have outside of real estate, my
She's got
salon and line and all that jazz. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
I think we're going to talk a little bit about...
Housing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Housing. Shoot. Okay.
Gotta get closer to the mic.
We're talking about
There we
housing
go.
today. But what I always say in title,
boy.
and I know I'm going to go off on a tangent as I always
She's already
do,
moving my stuff over. That's the danger zone. Danger zone.
is being in title or being in any portion of real estate or lending or wherever you may be, or even being the consumer, everything is about relationships. It always feels like we're dating.
Always comes down. Yeah.
We're dating.
Yeah.
So you get into a relationship. You meet somebody, whether you were introduced to him online or from one of your partners or friends or however
that manifests.
From there, you form a relationship. So I think today we're going to go into a little bit about real estate and relationships.
It's about serendipity.
It's about serendipity. So if you guys know, that
boy.
it was such a great movie.
Oh,
Jack Cusick and Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale. Oh, she's so beautiful.
We're supposed to be focusing on housing.
Okay, housing. Yes.
So out there's a number of information. You know, you come across, you have friends and family say, "Oh, you should use my realtor. He was great, and on this last transaction." And then you come across all these advertisements, all these advertisements about, sell your house in 72 hours, cash today, buy tomorrow, whatever. You know, there's so much information coming at you, and I think at the end of the day, you want the best value,
right?
For probably the cheapest price or the least expensive, I guess.
Well, I don't know. I
mean, you equate this to dating, right?
I think it all comes about going back to it's a relationship. It's not dating.
Yeah.
It's relationships. I have never been on a dating site.
No?
I have not. No, I have not. I'm proud to say. Not proud because I'm not discrediting anybody else's thing, but it's just not my jam. But what is my jam is going on Zillow.com, Realtor.com, one that I just recently found, Knock.com. So let's focus on that for a hot minute.
Am I putting that up here? Hold on a second. There you go.
If you guys haven't seen Knock.com, this is actually really kind of a cool concept. Smart way to buy before you sell. So it's a little bit outside of the box of what Zillow's doing, open door, offer up, and you scrolled really fast.
Oh, sorry.
The concept of it
I was going to how it works.
is you get to go in there.
Get your face out of it.
And you can take whatever you have, and going back to relationships, it's kind of like a wife swap or husband swap. Just kidding. That's a terrible analogy.
I prefer a wife swap.
It's a terrible analogy. But you get to go in and they'll do the analytics on your home, and they'll be able to basically like predict the trajectory of you. You get to keep your home, buy your new home before you get rid of your old home. That sounds so bad, actually. Terrible. But it is a great concept. I have a few agents that are in friends that are doing this concept. And
House swapping.
House swapping, it's house swapping.
House swapping.
It's a cool concept. I'm not sure exactly how it works because it's very new. We're definitely going to probably dive deeper into this and what that looks like. But there's a few other things that we were talking about with all the other noise that's out there. So I'm going to do this as we were discussing earlier. And
she put me on the firing squad.
I am. So here's my
go.
analogy. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not even on Facebook to see the comments or on anything because I haven't logged in yet.
If you like purple hearts, send Ashley a purple heart.
Yes, I just got a new robe from Walmart with purple hearts on it. It's really comfy and sweet.
So we're in the realm of iBuyers. So there's a lot of questions out there that I think we receive, and some of again through all the advertisements and all the fodder. You want to pick what's best for you, and Ashley's kind of equating that to dating.
Well, right, because I mean, I feel like, so one of the things I'll tell you guys outside of real estate, and I'm going to tell myself on this because I also own a salon. I've been doing hair and makeup for weddings, mostly makeup for the past, almost 40, so 20 years. And more recently than not, I've been meeting a lot of couples that they have met each other on, things like eHarmony. eHarmony was probably about 7 years ago. Bumble, Tinder, Farmers Only. That's actually a thing. Yeah. Plenty of Fish. I've only had 2 girls from there. And I relate this to the housing market, right? So to me,
I was being very patient. When
farmers market is very demographic. Tinder is kind of like a Redfin. So like Tinder, from my understanding, you can like go on there and you can find people who are local and you can swipe. Kind of like Redfin. Redfin is an app that you can go on and you can find open houses in your area.
Yeah.
And then you can go and you can choose to go visit them or not visit them. It's up to you. Then Bumble is like realtor.com. You can decide if you want to go look at something or not look at something, right? Isn't there some swiping things going on? eHarmony is a paid program. Yeah. You have to pay to play, right? Yeah. So that would be almost like, actually, maybe you guys can answer this question because I have no idea. I was thinking MLS, because MLS, you have to pay to play because eventually you have to pay your realtor to help you find a home to get your perfect match.
So I think what it all boils down to, again, is you have different platforms. And, about 20 years ago or so, people were logging into eHarmony and all these other dating websites, and it was very unfamiliar, very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think when you got a match, so to speak, it was weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't as organic as it was, years past. And as we get into more of an iBuyer program or just a generation of people, I would say the 30 and below, are just more comfortable with that platform.
30, like 40 is a new 30, by the way.
40 is a new 30?
Yeah, 40 is a new 30.
Well, aren't you like 32?
Well, I'm almost 40, but okay. But I get what you're saying. So we become so comfortable trusting all these sites. Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, now this new one called Knock. Yeah. But at the end of the day, where are relationships built?
I think, again, when it comes down to dating and these websites and comparing it to the iBuyer programs and all the other things that we see, it comes down to just how people interact. If somebody, I've come across, okay, I'll go to the dating part. You come across, a profile and it seems all good at the beginning, but then after you go on and meet that person, it really isn't what it seems like.
That's called Zillow.com.
And there's so many iBuyer programs out there that it's confusing, and one is trying to outdo the other, and then after a couple dates you realize this is probably not where I need to be. But when it comes to like a contract with a house, it's kind of like you're stuck.
Well, that's why I'm curious about this new knock.com. So it's like
back there.
I do want to go back to it because it's so fresh and new, but just like everything is fresh and new. So at the end of all of it, we really need to figure out what is our goal? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the trajectory of using something like this? So the smart way to buy before you sell. You get the convenience of buying a new home you want before selling your old one. It's like, sorry, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, but how are we supposed to decipher what is the right thing to do? And to me, why we initially called the show is called Serendipity, which the definition of serendipity is occurrences and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. We have to decide.
Yeah, so I think the iBuyer program is a benefit to some people that want to kind of come and go and want to get a cash deal, want to move on quickly. That could be equated to just a quick date, quote unquote. But I mean, there are people that still hinder on that sense of trust, that sense of relationship. Somebody that knows the market, somebody that's very familiar with the specific area, especially in I work between Phoenix, Mesa, and East Valley, so somebody who's very familiar with the area will kind of understand how the dynamics of the area work. PV is definitely way different than, let's say, La Senda's.
Oh yeah.
The price point of the homes are going to be more in PV, but the type of person purchasing those areas will be very different versus the white. There's like several white wings now in the East Valley. Everybody's a white wing. That's any kind of custom home. They're all different. They're all different areas. So being very familiar with an area is a benefit to some agents. Where somebody like in an iBuyer program, they don't know that. And we're not necessarily in the most stable of environments, as far as markets go.
Anything
pretty much you put on
stable right now. Schools are not stable. Relationships aren't stable. Housing market's not stable. The stock market's not stable. Yeah. We're not stable.
And what it comes down to is really trust. Who do you trust? With these iBuyer programs, and you asked me, to give me an honest opinion. And I've had a client that went to Open Door, and they offered her like $70,000 above what the comps were, which was insane. They also charged her like about $40,000 in fees, but she was still making out ahead of time, or making out ahead what I could reasonably get her, even with discounts and even everything I could. She did not get the personal service, but she got the cash. And then in this environment, that worked for her, and which is great. I mean, and I told her, go for it. This is more than anybody else can be able to offer you. Just make sure it closes, because the one thing that was in the contract is like they can pull out even on the last day. Or like a conventional purchase contract.
That's the scary part.
The conventional purchase contract, there are certain time frames where they just can't back out. You know what I mean?
Well, and that goes back to, and I'm reiterating this over and over and over again, is about the relationships. So you form this relationship, you have the trust. Yeah. You have this, so that your example was perfect. They could pull out on the last day. They could decide to make a decision. They don't have anybody to fight for them. They don't have anybody there who's going to hold their hand and make sure that something like that doesn't happen. May it happen? And yeah, sure it happens. Anything can happen. But you are there, or you being a real estate agent, and not just pointing fingers at you, but a real estate agents are there to support and make sure or try to ensure that these type of things don't happen.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that if somebody's going to pull out, they pull out at the right time.
Is the cost worth it to risk all of that time to, at the end, maybe losing it all, or have somebody like yourself in your shoes to be by your side, hold your hand, and make sure that that doesn't happen.
Well, and I think the thing that equates dating to housing is that every agent you go to, just like any new date you go on, everything's great. They're going to present the best thing forward, and it's always going to be, it's a great time to buy. It's a great time to sell. When you talk to an agent, a real estate agent, and I come from a world of social work, so the sales stuff kind of begets me sometimes.
That's why you're so good at what you do.
But it's just like, it's always a good time to sell. It's always a good time to buy. And it's just like, well, when is the bad time? And I will honestly give my position. Just like with a client that said, hey, I'm thinking about going with Open Door. What do you think? And I said, send me the contract. And I really found little fault in it. It serviced a need for her. It got her out of a situation that was really quick, better than I could provide for her. The only thing I could provide for her is that sense of trust and that sense of like emotion. And the biggest thing that I offer a lot of my clients is getting through those emotions, because sometimes it's really hard to sell. There's an emotional component there. I've sold a house one time for a woman that was her dream house. Her divorce and everything just kind of fell apart. She had to leave a home that she was so emotionally connected with, because that's the home that her kids were growing up in.
Well, you said a key word right there, Robert, was the paperwork looked great. And that is something we say in dating so often. Oh, that person looked great on paper. Yeah. But it's the emotion behind that. Some people may not look great on paper, but it's the end of the deal. It's the closing. It's the emotional part that's there. It's the emotions that are involved in that house. The emotions that are involved in so many things and so many choices that we make. So for anybody to look at paper and judge it doesn't make sense. I mean, I remember when Chris Nace and I bought our house off of Sweetwater. Yeah. And I didn't even think we could ever buy that house. And I walked in like, this house we're buying. He's like, you just walked to the front door. I'm like, I don't care. I'm buying this house. We're buying it. Yeah. It wasn't an option. Didn't matter what it looked like on paper. I didn't even care if there was anything wrong. If the inspection came back and they said a million things, I'm like, I don't care. It's not about what's on paper. It's about the emotional feeling involved. And we have to be very cognizant in what we're doing. We have to stop listening to social media. We have to stop watching the news. We have to find somebody we know, like, and trust to hold our hand and walk us through it. Because serendipity.
And if there was any advice out there to agents, about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to take a lens of being a friend. There's so much to this, and again, so many things that you go through emotionally that, as an agent, as a very young agent, I was in a place where I'm like, I needed transactions, and I wasn't looking in terms of, somebody's own interests, and, you're motivated by getting a sale sometimes, and you have to take a step back and really honor that fiduciary duty, that sense of friendship. Yeah. Sometimes that means do not buy this house. Yep. Sometimes that means just being upfront and honest, and even at the cost of a sale. Like last week, I had a client who wanted to buy a really crappy house for $130,000. Ran the comps; it was around 80.
Can I buy it?
You don't want it, but it looked like there was mold issues. I was concerned about asbestos, and the guy was going to leave a bunch of crap there. Yeah, I'm like, if the comps are $80,000, we're in Coolidge, by the way. If the comps are $80,000 and you're offering, if you're offering $130,000, it doesn't make sense. Even if you do the rehab, and he's like, you know what, let's just make an offer anyway. And I'm like, okay. I told him very literally, I'm gonna slap you silly, but I'll put the offer in first. Yeah. And that's being a friend. And I couldn't see him buying and putting all that money into it to know that in the end of it, he was going to recoup the value.
Is that like swiping left or right? Because I don't know the difference.
It's swiping. Is that right? No, right?
Maybe you guys
right means yes. Left means no. It's been a while. I haven't been on there.
I always break. Yeah, because you're getting married soon. Yay!
December. Yeah.
I know, December 18th.
You coming to the wedding?
Of course I'm coming to the wedding. And I have a really fun song that I dedicated to you guys.
Shit, I know I saw him.
Shoot.
We get the list. We get the list.
Aw, man. I'm going to tell you guys, but you'll find out soon. Boy. But yes, Robert is getting married to Violet.
Yes.
And it's going to be super fun.
Yeah. You already got the house, too. Got the house before the wedding.
Yeah, and you got the house before the wedding, and it's just so many different things, and maybe a baby to come soon.
Oh, God. Anyway, we're cutting Ashley off for the day.
But going back to what I was saying, relationships. Everything in this world is built around relationships. Yep. But there's so much noise on the outside. So in your opinion, from a real estate agent and a consumer who's looking to purchase, how do we differentiate the difference between the noise that's online, the news, the social media, the articles, versus the relationships that they may have with a realtor that is their mom or their brother or their sister or a professional? Like, how do you decide, am I going to go on that date with that random person that I swipe left or right? Or somebody my mom introduced me to from church? Or am I going to go with my in-laws, sister's brother because they'll get mad at me at Thanksgiving? Yeah. Or am I going to go with a professional like Robert Morales because I know he knows what he's talking about? What's your opinion?
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Fine. If they say they're certain, whatever, then if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Look at the fine details. Is somebody going to go over that? If I came up to you and said, "Hey, I'm this great person. This is my resume of great things," you're like, "Okay, that's great, but what else can you offer?"
Right.
Again, when agents approach, and I've seen it before, it's like, "Oh, he's a great time to buy, great time to sell."
Well, their offering is a relationship. Yeah. And that's what this comes down to and we've talked about this so many times, is forming that relationship. Yeah.
Which is why we have the whole CEO network.
Yes.
Because we're all about that. I'm very mindful that that's a very important piece of it. That's the long term, and after every transaction, I try to feel like I've put myself in their life, and that I am a friend more than anything else. That's going to be there to help them even through other stuff. And I try to build relationships with other people so they can get discounts with lawn service. So I can connect them with people that are good in insurance that'll advise them the right way, because there's other capacities too, not just a house.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody's always trying to sell something. And I'm always looking for people that are just honestly there to help.
Well, I think one of you, and I'm going to tell both of us for a second, when being in the real estate industry, I feel like we're the source of the source. We've made so many amazing relationships that we become the source for others, because we only search and find people that are going to be so awesome and so amazing that we would never introduce somebody to our clients or friends or whomever who we wouldn't actually use ourselves. So we are the source of the source. That's, again, a portion of being a part of the relationships.
Correct.
Yeah. So can we talk about how awesome our event was real quick? Because we had to take off last
We
week.
have 10 minutes, but I'll give you 2 minutes.
No, I want you to talk about it.
Oh, so the event we had, RCA Network had an event on October 21st. It was a Thursday about a week and a half ago, and it was awesome. You know, we got to celebrate relationships at the end of the day, but Jill Kimmel was our guest host, and she was awesome. She just played it off,
hilarious.
you know, and Ashley and her traded lipsticks, which is awesome too.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was, but one of the most amazing thing is you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
And the people that are there to support you, and the people that you don't expect to support you, and the people you don't expect to be your featured person, Jill Kimball, are there. Yeah. Like, they're there. And everyone, it doesn't matter who you are or what path you've walked on, everyone's there, and it's the same relationship. And it was magical. It was so magical. Like,
it was, yeah.
It was super awesome. And I think the next event is coming up January
20th.
I almost said 20th, but I was like, shucks, am I wrong? January 20th.
So we're developing the program for that there. We're going to have a meeting this Wednesday talking about the ins and outs. So if you can make it January 20th, I should have put the link in the description, but we'll do that later.
So before we cash out here, let's talk about what's happening in our market today, because it's
Absolutely.
Market Monday 30.
Yeah, it's Market Monday. Hey, we're going to do something like that.
Let's see what's happening.
So looking at the numbers, looking at the stats.
It's kind of insane.
Index, the demand index is still high. You know, I think at the beginning of the summer, we were starting to see some kind of like shifting in the market a little bit. And in that we had some optimism that things would start going, price wise south, that people that were priced out could actually afford something. And in retrospect, if you're looking back right now, that didn't happen. The demand is still high, supply is still low. So the prices of houses are still increasing, which is unfortunate for those people that have been priced out. You know, and I do feel bad. I've lost about 6 buyers this year just because, they qualified for a minimal amount, 300, first time home buyers, 300,000, 350, and they get outbid still. You know, there's still a lot of people moving to Arizona. And I think that's probably the biggest driver is that people are still buying from out of state that have the discretionary income to overbid still.
I had somebody text me early this morning and they said, well, aren't there just a million foreclosures out there right now?
No.
My response was literally, no, there's not. Because our social media and all the noise, again, going back to noise, is telling this is happening. Guys, this is not happening.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not foreclosures right now.
The number of foreclosures are just barely kind of coming out, and they may be catching up with from last year, but nothing.
Catch up with our demand.
Nothing in regards to like a big market like downfall. Nothing even close, and it would probably take several years for that to catch up anyway.
Yeah, I concur.
But the supply index is very low. You're seeing this green area again. Green does not mean good. Green just means little. So once it gets into the yellow, it's a more balanced supply. Demand. We were beginning of the summer. We were starting to see this number, this little arrow, start to get to a balanced market. But then it just quickly shifted to a green. Demand means it's high demand. So we do have a very, very active market still, and even into November. Today's November 1st.
I know.
It's first.
I can't believe it. It's
Thanksgiving.
So weird.
Christmas
it's
is only like
hot as heck outside.
Christmas is like 6 weeks away.
Don't talk about that. Not ready.
But we do have that coming. So demand is very high, and the prices I don't believe are going to be going down anytime soon.
Well, and it's going to holidays. We've got Thanksgiving. We have snowbirds here. We have Christmas. We have New Year's. There's going to be I shouldn't say slowdown, but there's always kind of like, who wants to pack up their Christmas tree and all their stuff and move or sell their house during Christmas time? It's not common. So if people are going to make a decision and they feel in their gut, like their intuition says, do it. Yeah. I say just do it.
Looking back again, and projecting forward, nobody's going to be able to tell you the right answer. No. But as I see numbers and I see some of the stats, I believe in January prices are going to elevate some more. That's just part of our normal market cycle. It slows down, but it hasn't slowed down. This is the time of year where you start seeing just kind of fledgling, and we get a little bit more balanced market, and then we kick back up in January. Mm-hmm. And if this is part of a normal market cycle, we're going to kick back up in January. Prices will go up. Interest rates aren't anticipated by the Fed by going up until the middle of next year.
So if you're okay with putting up your Christmas tree Christmas Eve, before when you buy your new home, you need to buy a home now.
Oh, yes. Again, fortunately, I think price is going up. So the next stat I'm going to show you guys is median price of homes. Median price of homes in the Maricopa County single-family residence area is flatlined a little bit. I screwed up. Flatlined a little bit in July into August, but then just steep right back up to 420. Mm-hmm. You know, let me try to remove the single. It kicks this back every so often. So I'm going to remove all the condos because I think the target goal is
single family.
Single family.
Oh,
so
I don't know. Things are changing though.
Still people. I think there's some
now
families.
That you change it, it just went up anyway. So
well, this is single family only. So we're looking at about a 560 median price point. You know, which is not very serving of a first time home buyer. You know, not especially not the income levels in this market right now.
You know, that's.
Let me see what else I got. Hang in there. We got we got 4 minutes still. Supply. 4 minutes. Look at supply it's creeping up. Let me get there. Let me get my face out of the way. So last month we were about a 0.8 month supply. Now we're at a 0.9. We have almost a full month supply. So if you go back to that first screen that I went to, you know, a balanced market is about a 6 month supply. We are nowhere near there, you know. And so we're going to creep up a little bit because of the seasonality, but you can kind of see here in the charts too. You'll see it creep up in January and then this sharp decrease.
Can you go back to January?
Got January. This is May.
Go back to January.
This was right after the shutdown.
And then go back to January. Have you guys noticed how January always it goes down and it goes up? It goes down.
It spikes up in January. So we get an increase in supply and then a decrease over the selling season. So in my
opinion, it's better to search and look now before January.
Best time of year to buy, I would say, is July, August, and then November, December.
Right, because that's when everyone is like
Christmas shopping
or leaving summer. Everyone leaves town and they don't want to fuss with it. So when they don't want to fuss with it, that means you're going to get the best price.
Absolutely. So I mean,
not about dating, but just about buying a house.
Yeah, we were talking about dating earlier. If you're just joining us, you can watch the whole show. We talk about dating versus housing, and how Ashley doesn't have to use those dating apps. I've had to.
Well, I don't want to. They're so confusing. Like
I think the best things that happen in life are the ones that just are unexpected.
Serendipity.
I met Violet. I actually never met Violet the first time. I met her sister, and she's like, "Hey, here's her number." I was playing a house party. And
he plays music too. By the way, he does everything.
So that was my second house party of the night. I was on my way to the third one, and I didn't feel like playing. And then so I got to talking to her sister, and
plays guitar
a little bit
and sings.
A little bit.
A lot of it. So anyway, but that's what I was talking about is just random chance something happens and we can go on all these things and we can look at all these websites and all these apps. But at the end of the day, it's all about the serendipity or the intuition or your gut feeling.
Yeah, I think
feel it, run with it.
I think when somebody is after your best interest. I think like when you're on a date and things don't seem right, it's like, probably shouldn't. Maybe I should go somewhere else. And that takes some time. And especially with the sale of a house, something significant, something that's you're emotionally connected to. It's like giving up your baby. I mean, you just don't give it to somebody. You just you really have to screen out
anybody for that case, which goes back to your past and what you've done in the past. But yes, I concur with that. We just have to follow our intuition and our heart. And if you have that feeling in the pit of your tummy and you just feel like it's right, run with it. Because all these things, Zillow, Realtor.com, I mean, there's so many of them. Yeah. But when you walk in a house and somebody's like, oh, it's being sold by Zillow or, oh, it's being sold by this, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. No. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Just go with your gut and what you feel in your heart is right. And don't let the outside noise distract you because it's a very big decision. But I will tell you what, it's going to be one of the best decisions you've made in your life currently right now in the Arizona market because houses are not going down. It's just going to keep going. I don't believe so either. It will be one of the best financial investments you make in your life currently right now in this market.
Yeah, and when I purchased, I have it in mind too that prices will increase. I do believe they are increasing next year. We're doing some renovations to it and hopefully going to make. We're living there. We're not making a profit off it, but if it came down to it, we would leverage.
Well, 83% of people's retirement is a home equity in their home. So you're planning for your financial future. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What have we learned today, Miss?
We've learned to go with your intuition. Serendipity does exist. That you made an awesome decision buying a home with your beautiful future wife. Yes. And it's your retirement plan. And you're going to have an awesome wedding. And you already know the song I'm going to play for you, which is You Are My Sunshine. And I think that's it.
Okay. This is where we cut Ashley off. No, I'm just kidding. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Miss Miller, the beautiful Miss Miller, Great American Title. Rob Morales, RCO Network. We'll catch you guys hopefully next Monday. Adios.